All right, so 9.1, we're talking about parabolas and finding the vertex and line of symmetry, which we have already done. So this should not be super difficult, okay? An equation in the form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c is a parabola. Basically, when you have an x squared term, it's a parabola, okay? Now, descriptive or vertex form is when you have it in the form y equals a, and then it's x minus h squared plus k. Remember that whatever's in parentheses, when it comes out, it ends up becoming the opposite, okay? So in this case, your vertex right here is going to be h comma k, because whatever is in the parentheses, when it comes out, it becomes a positive or a negative, just the opposite. And then the value at the end is your y value. If your equation was in this form, you'd find the x-coordinate of the vertex by going x equals negative b over 2a. And then once you find your x, you end up plugging it in to find the y. Remember all this? Yeah? Okay. Your line of symmetry is always the x value of the vertex. So if the x value of the vertex is h, then that means that x equals what? H. Okay? Remember, this is an equation, should always be x equals your number, okay? When they're asking for your line of symmetry, or also called axis of symmetry, it's always an equation, x equals some number. Okay. Your graph opens up if a is greater than 0. It opens down if a is less than 0. Meaning, if a is positive, it goes up. If a is negative, it goes down. Remember, if it's going down, it has a maximum, because you have a maximum point because everything else is smaller, right? If you were to like draw a little picture here, this one's going down. This is a maximum value because everything else is smaller. Where if your graph was going up, you have a minimum because everything else is bigger, right? Okay, so again, upward if a is greater than 0, which means that you would have a min. And downward if a is less than 0, which means that you would have a max. Okay, and then basically this is just kind of generic, but if this value right here was your h comma k, and notice that a is positive, your parabola just goes up like that. Okay, are we good? Are we ready to move on to our examples? Does anyone have questions to this point? Okay, example 1. My equation is y equals x minus 3 squared plus 4. They ask you to find the vertex, line of symmetry, and the direction of the opening of your parabola. So what is my vertex on this, in this equation? Good, 3 comma 4. Because remember, whatever is in parentheses, we had set that equal to 0, and you'd end up getting x equals a positive 3. What is my line of symmetry? No. X equals 3. Don't forget that this is an equation. It's x equals 3. And what direction does this open? How do you know it opens up? A is positive. There's really a positive 1 in front. We're talking about the value right here when you're doing your A. Your direction is the number in front of the parentheses. That's your A value. If there's no negative in front, then it's going up. If there was a negative in front, then it would be going down. Okay, so let's go ahead and sketch this. So I'll go right 3, 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my vertex, and my curve is going up. Does this have a maximum or a minimum? Very good. This has a minimum. Do you guys know what the minimum value is? The minimum value is 4. It's the y value of the vertex. So in this case, the minimum value is 4. Yeah. Yes. Sorry. Thank you. All right. Any other questions on this? All right, moving on to example 2. So I'm going to have to make this a little smaller so I can fit here. Okay, so write y equals x squared plus 8x plus 13. State the vertex, line of symmetry, and direction of the opening. So this one now is in our standard form. It's not in vertex form. So how will I find the vertex?
Using the formula negative b over 2.
Very good. So we're going to use the formula x equals negative b over 2a. What is my negative b value? So negative 8 over 2 times, and what's my a value? 1. So we get negative 8 over 2, which makes it negative 4. So when I go over to my vertex, the x value is negative 4. I still need to find the y. And then do I already know my line of symmetry?
Yes.
And my line of symmetry is what?
X equals 2.
Okay. Do we know what direction it's opening?
Yes.
Which direction? Up. And how do I know that it's opening up?
Because a is positive.
Good. And since it's opening up, I also know, does it have a max or a min? A minimum. And then we'll have to figure out what that minimum value is. Okay, so now how do I find the y value? Plug it in. Okay, so we're going to take this, and we're plugging that in for x in both of these spots here, and we're going to solve for y. So we get y equals negative 4 squared plus 8 times negative 4 plus 13. What is negative 4 squared?
16.
Positive 16. 8 times negative 4 is negative 32, and then plus 13. So 16 minus 32 is negative 16 plus 13 makes negative 3. So the y value of the vertex is negative 3, which means that my minimum value is also negative 3. So let's sketch the graph. We would go where?
Back.
Left 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, 2, 3. And my graph is going up. Oh, also I forgot to sketch my line of symmetry. Where's my line of symmetry? It's that line going through x equals negative 4. Questions there? Okay, example 3. State the vertex, line of symmetry, and direction of the opening. Okay, what is my vertex on this one?
0.
It is 0, 0. If you're not okay with that and you don't quite understand, remember that in your standard formula, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. With this one, a is what? Negative 3. What is b? 0. What is c? 0. If you wanted to find the x value of the vertex, x equals negative b over 2a, we would have 0 over 2 times negative 3, and 0 over negative 6 is what? 0. And then if we plug 0 in for x, 0 squared is 0, negative 3 times 0 is, so y is also 0. So anytime you just have an x squared, your vertex is what? 0, 0. Does that make sense? Okay, so that means that my line of symmetry is what? X equals 0. In what direction is this going to open? Down. And since it's opening down, does it have a maximum or a minimum? Maximum. And what is my maximum value? 0. Okay, so we go to 0, 0. We make our point. And you said the graph is going down, so it goes down like this. And your line of symmetry is right there through 0, 0. All right, example 4. How will I find my vertex on example 4?
Negative 6.
Good. X equals negative b over 2a. What is my negative b value?
Negative.
Good. Negative 6 over 2 times 1. So we get negative 6 over 2, which makes, so if we go to our vertex, Negative 3 is my x value. And then how do I find my y? We plug it in. So we go y equals, and this is negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And 9 minus 18 is negative 9. Okay, so what is my line of symmetry? X equals negative 3, because it's always the x value of the vertex. Is this going to open up or down? How do we know it opens up? My A is positive. Does this have a maximum or a minimum value? A minimum value. And what is the minimum value? Negative 9. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sketch it. So we would go left 3, 1, 2, 3, down 9. And we said this was going up. And my line of symmetry goes through the vertex. Okay, questions?